It's daybreak on Arise News, and it's time for the press review. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive and analysis of the big story. We begin with our sister publication this day, and it leads with a plea from the NLC and CSOs, that's the Nigerian Labour Congress, and civil society organizations to the Nigerian Judiciary to save the country's democracy, just as the umbrella union body in the country threatens to name and shame corrupt judges. Above the nameplate this morning, Arise News Channel donates 1 billion naira to Western Delta University to set up media and technology school. And of course, the leading picture on the front page is that of former Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, former governor of Delta State, Ibori, and another former governor of the state, Udwanha, as well as the chairman of this day Arise News Channel, Prince Nduka Baigmena, at the 15th Founders Day celebration and lecture of the university held in Ogara, Ethiopia, West Local Government area of Delta State. Let's look at some other top stories on the front page this morning. Article 1, 2023 presidential poll, PDP replies Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture. And latest on Sudan crisis is also leading in the front page of this day. Nigerians trapped between Sudan, Egypt, send SOS. And of course, TUC kicks against planned privatization of TCN, NIPOST, Federal Medical Centers. These are the stories on the front page of this day this morning.
Right, let's look at Tribune and see what Tribune is saying. Tribune leads with their APC set for stormy NWC meeting as leadership tussle gets messier with three riders there. It says National Legal Advisor counsels party chair to expel Lukman. Lukman has been having a running battle with the chairman Adamu and the MPC and the NWC itself. Well, South Zonal APC removes Giadom Udosen. Exercise Enality, APC National Publicity Secretary. And just down below where you have that picture to the right, tension mounts at Lagos Airport, over 100% increment in cargo handling tariff. 10th NAS, the opposition lawmakers adamant, vows to reject APC zoning, favored candidate, and for speakership position. No plan to phase out new Naira notes. This is coming from CBN. And Article 1, 2023 presidential election, PDP replies, Lai Mohammed, you are sore losers. The FG replies, PDP. Sudan, FG laments delayed clearance of citizens at borders.
The Punch newspaper this morning. 8-year scorecard, workers lament hardship, score Buhari, governors low on welfare. High cost of living has made nonsense of minimum wage, 40% pay rise. That's from the unions. Pensioners still earning 500 naira, 750 naira monthly. Economy harsh under Buhari. That's from the retirees. The leading photo on the front page of the Punch this morning, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Oladayo Amal, top officers of Nigerian Air Force, at the interdenominational service on the 2023 NAF Day in Abuja. More headlines just at the top mass of the Punch this morning. Don't attack embassy staff. Ambassador warns stranded Nigerian students. Meanwhile, federal government dumps 5% telecom tax waiver.
The Guardian is leading with the Labour Day, also known as May Day, and of course that's the leading picture as well. It says workers are lamenting 8 years of unkept promises as the minimum wage loses value. Again, Lagos-Ibadan Road repair misses Fashola's deadline. That's the Minister of Works. While Lagos and FAN, the Federal Airport Authority in Nigeria, demolished buildings in Ajawa State. The Guardian has that story. Over 2,500 undocumented Nigerian students stranded in Sudan universities, and Nigeria loses $4.5 billion yearly to foreign artisans in construction industry. The front page of The Guardian this morning.
Let's look at the Sun newspaper. All right, fireworks of a presidential poll. You lost woefully, FG tells LP PDP. You've mothered sleep. LP tells APC history will judge Buhari. This is coming from PDP, just beside the Sun logo there. Haneze ratifies Iwanyanwu as President General. He says, I will defend Ndibo. And then just below that picture, Lagos explains demolition of buildings in Ajao Estate. This is something one doesn't particularly understand. I had a woman shouting, our properties are inside the house.
The viral video.
Yeah, I can't understand why they wouldn't have allowed people to take out anyway.
Well, the government also has responded to say they gave them 8 years warning.
8 years?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just finish with this one. Adamawa Guba, why I declared Binani winner. This is coming from Yunuso Ari State REC, that is State Rec. Southeast Group clamors for Senate President, backs Carlo.
All right, some international papers now. The newspaper's leading headline right there. Striking nurses warn Sunak to improve wage offer or face more walkouts.
Well, the Telegraph, Cancer nurses go on strike for the first time with the head of the RCN, that's the Royal College of Nursing, warning industrial action could go on for years.
The Guardian International. The Guardian newspaper, it says households missing out on £19 billion in benefits. New AI tool could allow quicker cancer diagnosis.
All right, for the press review, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us now. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for being here. Let's take a look at what's going on the national dailies. This day's leading story, NLC CSOs are pleading with Judiciary to save Nigeria's democracy as NLC threatens to name and shame corrupt judges. Emmanuel, today is Workers' Day. Nigerians are saying, look, there's really nothing to celebrate. Workers should really be on the streets as they've been lamenting harsh living conditions under Buhari's administration. What are your thoughts, Emmanuel?
I think let me wish all the workers a great day, and we're all workers too. So I wish you all a happy Workers' Day. But yes, those who depend on government for their salaries are worst hit at times by those policies of government. And yes, it's also essentially their day. And on a day like this, it gives them opportunity to look at the relationship that exists between them and government, and especially government policies that have not really helped them. And in any serious government or serious regime, you will listen to the workers because their plight is, actually translate into how it's a referendum on how you are running your country. We're a workers' country. We're workers. We love working. Our people love to go to work. And, whether we like it or not, yes, a lot of people are dependent on those hands out by government, whether you call them salaries or you call them pensions, all that. So, and because they have all sort of domino effects, so to speak, on a wide range of people. Most workers, of course, have got a lot of people in the household. So every government has to be essentially a workers' government. It has to be a people's government, a worker-oriented government, and looking into their welfare, their salaries, and all that. But the workers are now giving Buhari a very, very serious low approval, job approval rating, and that's very serious because, they should know more than any other person the impact of those economic policies. And they are scoring Buhari low and very poor and saying that, look, you didn't look at, we've suffered more under you, whether it is policies that have to do with, welfare, the redesigning. The latest one was the last redesigning of the Naira note. Workers were really impacted in their daily life. So what they are saying essentially is that the Buhari administration has not really helped in looking at their plight as workers, and that they are hoping that this administration will serve them better. I think today there will be some rallies around town, just part of the traditional way workers try to express their angst and their frustration with government, and it's just terrible that nothing has really changed. They applied, not even the latest increment that they say, look, that increase did not change anything, 40%, didn't change anything in their lives because of the growing inflation, because they can't really meet up with their, with what they're supposed to do.
Well, I believe you spoke to the front page of The Guardian, where the workers are lamenting on living costs. But let me take you back to the front page of our sister publication This Day. The NLC this time around and civil society organizations are speaking to the judiciary directly. In fact, the umbrella body for the union or labor union in Nigeria is threatening to name and shame judicial officers, corrupt judges, as the paper puts it. What sort of pressure does this put, if any, on the judiciary as we watch or count down or monitor the outcomes of the elections that have not shifted to the tribunals, the courts?
Yeah, well, I just want traditionally it's the job of maybe the media to beam a searchlight on what the judiciary is doing, and of course there are other bodies that look at the judiciary, try to ensure that, look, the right things are done and all of that. But now Labour is doing something else. Labour is also weighing on the judiciary and saying that, look, we are going to watch what these judges are doing, and we already know who the judges are. So Labour is saying, look, we're going to keep an eye on them to ensure that, look, the right thing is done. Because, of course, whatever happens, the workers in particular would like a better day, and they're thinking that, look, the judiciary will have to help to ensure that it's safe democracy. And what a lot of people call saving democracy is to say that, look, that this last election, the presidential election, was a sham, and that the court will not uphold it and all that. Again, it is about jurisprudence. Matters are in court now. It is about how everybody is able to argue his case and all of that. The elections have come and gone, but yes, we're all eyes are on the judiciary now to see what it's going to say. Is it going to say these elections were the best of elections, and that yes, truly, Tinubu won that election as against all the other parties that are claiming that they've won? Labour claim it's won, Atiku claim it's won. The workers are saying we're going to keep an eye on you, and I think the rest of the country will join the workers in doing that to ensure that the right thing is done. Yes, so that brings considerable pressure on the judiciary, not really to do the wrong thing, but to do what's right.
Well, if they're going to name and shame, they must have their evidence handy. I mean, that's very important. Well, let's look at what the Daily Sun is saying. Brick bags, fireworks over presidential poll. You lost woefully. That's what the FG is saying to LP and PDP. And PDP is replying, you've murdered sleep. LP tells APC, history will judge you, Buhari. And then this Lagos explaining demolition of buildings in Ajao State. I was saying earlier that it's funny that people were not giving notice to at least pick out their things, but that's what was said here, that the government says, the Lagos State government had said they gave them 8 years notice. I don't know what you make of these stories.
Well, the collection of great stories, but let's just go back a little bit to this day. That story on Arise donating 1 billion naira to the university. I think it's a good story. I think it's one of the responsibilities of a media house to ensure, because it's investing in media technology. That's something. I thought we should briefly look at that. The network has been playing a lot of roles, whether it is in the area of encouraging education or encouraging other aspects of researches and all of that. It's a great one. Network should be involved in some of those kind of efforts to change the narratives generally. So kudos to the Arise Network for that kind of huge donation and support to education, which is very, very important. It's at the cornerstone of the sort of things that we're dealing with, the crisis of workers, especially the fact that they can't send their children to schools. Workers have actually lamented that these schools are beyond them, especially university education. So, Arise is playing its little role to ensure that education is given the kind of serious boost it should be getting. Yes, those Sun stories are very important. The parties are at it again. I think the President Buhari started it last week when he was rubbing salt to injury when he said, look, PDP, you failed, or you, the opposition party, failed because they were overconfident and they didn't get their act right, they didn't get their plans well, and all of that. So I think APC is digging into that and still, throwing those kind of fireworks. It's a way of riling. I don't know whether it's right, just trying to, like our people call, instigate and yab the opposition party and tell them why they've lost. Remember that the LP and PDP are in court saying that, look, they rightly won those elections. But the ruling APC keeps digging and say, look, these are the reasons why you failed. And it's difficult not to agree with the opposition party on why. I mean, nobody can actually understand why the APC won that election, because a lot of people believe that, look, the election was going to be a referendum on the performance of APC. And if that was the case, APC shouldn't be forming the next government. It's failed. Like the workers are even saying today that, look, the numbers, and they're not, it's not even, numbers from the outside, from opposition. Government-approved numbers from NBC shows that the inflation rate under this government has been astronomically very, very, it's terrible. So for that kind of government to be given another chance to rule us for the number of years coming. Also, a lot of people didn't know how. Still can bring it to, factor in these elections and how APC has really worked its way back into governance. A lot of people can understand it. And that's why some people, you might say they're election result denials, but they say, look, these results are not reflecting what we think should happen. So I think the APC is trying to explain why it won. A lot of Nigerians think that it was rigged. This does not reflect reality. A lot of people condemn that election. So it is a job of the APC for lack of what to do again now to explain why it is won. Normally, you don't do that. If you have won fair and square, you don't really need to go back to explain to the people the factors that. And they are not talking about why they've won. They're actually telling the opposition party why they've lost. The president started it last week and saying it was because of the overconfidence and the lack of cohesion or the lack of planning, telling the opposition essentially that you lost because we had better plans or we have done well. They are not saying that, they are saying you lost because you were not well organized. So I guess this is what the APC will continue to do. They have a burden, a moral burden on them to explain to Nigerians how and how it happened, how they are forming government down the line this month. A lot of people are still very not happy. Nobody has come to some kind of closure on how the APC is still forming government after this abysmal performance, like the workers are saying today.
Emmanuel, rather, well, if I win, I won't have to bother about myself. I mean, that's life. I'll tell you about why you lost. I guess that's what APC is doing.
Well, yeah, yes, the APC has the right to do that, I mean, to explain to us. But again, like I said, it's difficult to understand how APC won those elections. And that's why I think they have this whole burden to explain, to continuously tell people that, well, you see, you won, you lost because of this, you lost because of that. A lot of Nigerians are wondering how it happened. Not many people can actually wrap their head around the fact that APC is back, is going to form a government. Look at their presidential candidate, the issue around him, his personality, the questions during the campaigns and everything. It's difficult to even come to a closure, to understand why this has happened. And that's why I think a lot of people, the stories we are following today, saying that, look, the judiciary will have to do the right thing. For so many people, they believe they already have, they've done this case on their mind or in their heads, and they've decided that if the judiciary is going to do the right thing, it has to upturn these elections, it has to upturn these results, because it's not reflective of what are the aspiration of so many people. The workers themselves today are saying, and this is the day, Mayday, they are saying that this government has failed them woefully, in fact, more than any other government before. So the numbers are not adding up. So how APC won is becoming an issue, and that's why I think they find themselves in a place where they continuously have to explain to the opposition party why they lost, and not even why they won, but why the opposition parties lost this election. But whatever it is, as far as evidence on ground are concerned, the issues, the crisis, the inflation, the shortages, the hardship, the welfare of workers. Every statistics out there show that the APC did not do well to actually earn itself a return, a rebound. I'm sure that's why probably the current APC is called a hope renewed, with the hope that they are going to do better if ever, as soon as they form a government. But the jury is out there, especially from the workers today, that look, this government has failed them.
All right, Emmanuel, that's a good place to leave it when we look at all these comments or back and forth or explanations coming on. It just reminds me of when we were in campaign season. The APC has won, Tinubu has won, and they should be acting more presidential, as it's less than 30 days until inauguration, and they'll have much more explaining to do in court, all the parties involved. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press preview.